Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the meeting of the Lebanon Utility Service Board for Wednesday, July 23rd, 2025. Let the record show that all board members are present tonight, less Bill Stoner, and that there was a working session prior. This meeting was also properly advertised. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under.
All right, we'd like to offer public comment at the beginning and end of each of our meetings. So we'll go ahead and offer that now. Don't see anyone here for comment. We'll go ahead and start with the approval of the minutes from the June 18th, 2025 meeting. Everyone had a chance to review those, and if so, I would entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Ann to approve the minutes from the June 18th, 2025 meeting. Any additional comments? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we will move to the next item, which is our salary and wage update, and our CFO, Sandra Morgan, will address the board. Hey, Sandra.
Good evening, everyone. I'm here tonight just to go over the new advancement program that everyone should have gotten a copy of. And a little background is back in early February, the Personnel Committee recommended that we conduct a comprehensive market study. And we did that for all positions. If everyone remembers correctly, we did complete that for electric back in April. So we spent the last 2 months doing all the rest of the positions. And in order to complete that study, we did look at multiple things. We did review a little bit of the APPA salary guides, the AWWA. But what we really focused on is we went throughout central Indiana and pulled ordinances from all different cities and utilities, trying to just compare ourselves to see where our wages compared to them. So once we got that study done, it was reviewed by the Personnel Committee, and then we had a final meeting with the Personnel Committee, I believe about a week ago. It could have been 2 weeks ago, just to finalize those numbers. So hopefully everyone's had a chance to look at that, and we did discuss it in working session also. The total annual cost of this current change would be right around $255,000, and that is a maximum because I assumed a maximum 401A contribution for everyone. And to break that down, it's about $9,800 per pay, and for 2025, it'd be $108,275. So based on the study, we are recommending that the board approve the updated advancement plan with an effective date of July 14th, 2025.
All right, thank you, Sandra. Any questions, comments for Sandra?
I have a couple, please. I plan to approve this motion. I've done just a little bit of calculation with Sandra's help, and she doesn't necessarily have to agree these numbers are absolutely perfect because I hadn't reviewed the final ones with her, but our monthly gross pay period expenditures will increase about 5.45% maximum. 16 of our employees, in essence, will receive a pay increase depending on where they are service-wise within the matrix from 5% to 34%. I support these significant increases because I believe they're in line with the industry. And I also believe that fair pay and good pay attracts good employees and retains good employees. I hope our employees appreciate what we're doing here this evening, that you don't find these kind of increases in the middle of a year anywhere. And like I say, I'm glad to do it because we have excellent employees, and I think this will help us to retain them and attract new ones as needed.
Thank you, Aaron. Anyone else have comments, questions? Sandra, thanks for all your hard work on this. All right, if there's nothing else, I'd entertain a motion.
I move to approve the new advancement plan as presented with an effective date of July 14th, 2025.
Second.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Ann to approve the new advancement plan as presented with an effective date of 7/14/25. Any additional comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Looks like Sandra stays put for a minute for some policy changes.
Yeah, thank you. So during a recent comprehensive review of our policies and procedures, it was recommended that we do have a clarifying comment in 2 of our policies. And adding this clarifying comment does not change the practice that we've had for the past at least 25 years. But it was noted that in our working hours policy and our overtime policy, we needed to clarify that PTO or paid time off counts as hours worked. So we have updated those 2 policies for your review, and then we are recommending that the board approve the updated employee handbook with an effective date of 7/23/2025.
Right. This was a topic of discussion in our working session. Anyone have questions, comments for Sandra on this? I would entertain a motion.
I move-
To approve the updated employee handbook with an effective date of 7/23/2025.
Motion made by Ann, seconded by Tim to approve the updated employee handbook with an effective date of 7/23/25. Any additional comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, Sandra, I think I'm going to jump to the electric rate study while you're up here, if
All
that's
right, well,
okay.
thank you. Yep. And I'll have Scott come up, and then I need the. If we can get that to show up. But just wanted to remind everyone, I think in the last 2 year-end reviews, we have kind of recommended that we're not really bringing in enough to cover our capital needs. So we've reached out to Scott Miller, who's put together a proposal. And real quick, just to go over last year's, this was what we presented to you, I think, back in March or April. But the current rate structure was designed to provide about $1 million for capital improvements. And in 2024, we came in at $1.8 million. So more than anticipated. And our actual 2024 was $2.89 million. So in the working session, I know Scott said that our cash had dropped for the year. Well, that's the reason. And if we look out at our 6-year capital budget, the average is $3.74 million. So our current rate structure really is not covering our current capital needs. So we have Scott Miller in today to do a rate analysis for a not to exceed $150,000. And I have Scott here in case anyone has any particular questions on the proposal itself.
I don't have any particular questions, but I have a lot of convincing to do that all the capital projects that have been identified, number one, are needed, and number two, whether they should be paid for by ratepayers or through arrangements with developers. So as a member of the Finance Committee, I'll be looking particularly hard at our capital budget, and I'll have an open mind and listen to all the experts, but I have some convincing that needs to be done. So I just wanted to state that.
Thank you, Aaron. And I'll let you know, as part of our normal process, and Scott sat through a lot of these meetings, what we'll do is we'll bring in the electric manager, the finance committee, the general manager, myself, and we'll go through the budget in great detail to determine what needs to stay in there, what can be paid by others, or if there's anything new that's come up in the last year or so that needs to be added to that. And then that's where Scott will go in and start tweaking the numbers based off of this new capital program versus the budget.
Thank you.
All right. Any other comments, questions for Sandra or Scott on the electric rate study? I will entertain a motion.
Move to approve the electric rate study to be conducted by Baker Tilly for an amount not to exceed $150,000.
Second.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Ann to approve the electric rate study conducted by Baker Tilly for an amount not to exceed $150,000. Any additional questions, comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you both.
Thank you.
All right, we'll jump back up to item 7, which is resolution 2025-10, and this is approving the public-private agreement for the wastewater treatment plant expansion, phase 1 and 2 BOT. And our legal counsel, Jeff Jacob, will read this for the board.
Thank you, Board. By way of background, you have approved very similar public-private agreement with, for the construction of water main connecting to the Citizens Pipeline. You've also recently approved a public-private agreement for a collection system within the LEAP district to collect waste, and we also need a corresponding place to treat the waste, which is evidenced in front of you with the public-private agreement with Bowen Engineering Corporation for the expansion of the wastewater treatment plant. This public-private agreement is very similar to the previous two. We've talked about that in working session. You've gone through a scoring committee for the selection of Bowen and directed the general manager and I to negotiate this agreement with Bowen. And that is reflected in this resolution. Unless there's any questions, I'll go ahead and read the resolution. Resolution approving public-private agreement for the wastewater treatment plant expansion phases 1 and 2. Whereas the city of Lebanon, Indiana owns and operates by and through the Lebanon Utility Service Board, a municipally owned utility known as Lebanon Utilities, for the purpose of providing safe, reliable, and efficient wastewater service in and around the city. Whereas the board finds it in the best interest of the ratepayers, the utility, and the city to expand, improve, and maintain the infrastructure of the wastewater system. Whereas the board authorized the issuance of a request for proposals and qualifications for the construction and operation of the wastewater utilities wastewater treatment plant from 5 MGD average design capacity to 10 MGD average design capacity in phase 1, and 10 MGD average design capacity to 15 MGD average design capacity in phase 2, pursuant to Indiana code. Whereas phase 1 portion of the project is to complete on or before January 1, 2027, and phase 2 portion of the project is to be completed on or before January 1, 2028. Whereas on or about May 21st, 2025, the board conducted a public hearing related to the RFPQ, the project, and the scoring committee recommendation to select Bowen Engineering Corporation for the construction of the project. Whereas after a thorough review of the various submitted proposals and the recommendations from the scoring committee and input from staff, the board approved the response to the RFPQ by Bowen. Whereas the board recommended the negotiation of a public-private agreement for the construction of the wastewater treatment plant expansion phases 1 and 2 with Bowen. Whereas the board has received and reviewed the public-private agreement for the wastewater treatment plant expansion phases 1 and 2 dated July 23, 2025, with Bowen for the design, construction, and operation of the project. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Lebanon Utility Service Board that the public-private agreement for the wastewater treatment plant expansion phases 1 and 2 is approved and adopted by the board to become effective upon its execution by the utility general manager. Also, board, as we have done in the past, you will soon see a GMP report for the first phase of the project to follow very shortly behind this agreement. I would anticipate at the next meeting. Happy to answer questions.
All right, thank you, Jeff. Questions for Jeff on this resolution?
I would just like to point out the historical magnitude of what we're starting on. The phase 1 cost is expected to total, including construction and other costs, $92.9 million. And the phase 2 is expected to cost over $52 million. And when you compare that to the current value of our utilities, it's quite extraordinary, and I just don't want to lose sight of that.
Yep, absolutely.
I'd also make a comment that we had a working session before, and Bob Holden from Westlaw Engineering is present at this meeting and the prior one, and we talked about the estimates, and according to Bob, everything's on track, and we're just excited to get this historic project started. And if you have any questions for Bob, he's more than happy to answer questions about the engineering side too.
All right, anything else? I'd entertain a motion.
I move to approve resolution number 2025-10, approving the public-private agreement with Bowen Engineering Corporation.
Second.
Motion made by Ann, seconded by Tim to approve resolution 2025-10, approving the public-private agreement with Bowen Engineering Corp. Any additional comments, questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you, Jeff. Okay, we'll move to the Chicago Street Water Treatment Plant filters, and Ryan Ottinger has made his way up. Hey, Ryan.
Good evening. This request is for the retroactive approval of work provided by Peerless Midwest on the Chicago Street Water Treatment Plant filters. This work includes removing the old manways, which are entry points into the filter, and bringing them in compliance with an updated OSHA curriculum that they updated a few years ago. So this is an opportunity for us to update that and get everything within OSHA compliance. And also loading all of the new filter media into the filters. This is budgeted under capital additions line item 10, facility rehab and improvements. The Chicago Street plant is back online. They were back online June 24th. And basically what we decided, if you'll remember in a working session, I discussed this with the board of permission to go ahead and pursue this because of the lead times and the fact that it's going to be 105 degrees this week, and we need both of our water plants. We completely rebuilt both filters at the Chicago Street Water Plant, taking it offline, removing all the old media, and putting new media in. We will see invoices on this retroactive request from for the media itself. That's a separate invoice. We were able to work with the company directly, so there was no markup on that other than the company's markup. And then also for the vacuuming out and disposal of the old material that was in, that material has to be processed, has to be tested, and then taken to an offsite facility that the state has approved. So that all is done, and those invoices will come in. But this is a large bulk of it. The labor is pretty intense. I think Mr. Smith was out there during some of the unloading, but these are basically 40, 50-pound bags of large gravel that they have to hoist up and dump into the filters and get that media bed set. But everything, we passed bacteria samples, and we got back online at the end of last month. So everything's operating very well now.
You saying Mr. Smith got a really good workout?
I'm saying that he observed, casually observed.
I observed our wastewater plant manager operating a forklift very adeptly and saving us money.
Yes, he is very skilled in that, and that did save us a lot of money. The delivery company did not have to provide a laborer, or Peerless Midwest did not have to provide the equipment to unload that. We were able to do that in-house, which saved a significant amount
I
of
just
money.
mentioned that our employees do a good job of working with our contractors, and when they find a way to reasonably save our ratepayers money, this is another example of that.
And when Tony finds a way to get in that skid steer and have some fun, he always will take advantage of that also. I do want to mention that this is, that per this approval is under Indiana Code IC 36-1-4-16.
All right, thanks, Ryan. Questions for Ryan, comments? I'd entertain a motion.
I move to retroactively approve, in accordance with Indiana Code IC 36-1-4-16, the Peerless Midwest invoice for $87,435 for work on the Chicago Street water treatment plant filters.
Second.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Ann to retroactively approve in accordance with Indiana Code 36-1-4-16, Peerless Midwest invoice for $87,435 for work on the Chicago Street water main treatment plant filters. Any additional comments, questions? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thanks, Ryan.
Thanks, everyone.
All right, we'll jump to the claims, payrolls, and transfers for July 23rd, 2025. Everyone reviewed those, and if so, I'd entertain a motion.
I move to approve the claims, payroll, and transfers dated July the 23rd, 2025, in the amount of $2,653,278.47 for claims and payroll, and $8,952,051.44 for transfers.
Motion made by
Let me have
Ann.
one. I just want
You
one.
want one? Motion
Second.
made by Ann, seconded by Aaron to approve the claims, payrolls, and transfers dated July 23rd, 2025. Any additional comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, anyone else on the board have anything tonight? Ed? We'll offer public comment again. I don't see anyone here for that. Our next meeting at the moment is scheduled for August 6th, 2025, 5 p.m. That's might be pushed back a week, but that's not been determined yet. So at the moment, we're still scheduled for the 6th of August. If there's nothing else, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All right, we got two, so I'll take Ann and Tim. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you, everyone.